Hello my dear friends. So let's start with the new chapter in infection control training program. This is the most important chapter because whatever instrument we reuse in our day-to-day practice need to get properly cleaned, disinfect and sterilize. So we are starting this chapter, that instrument processing, sterilization and sterilization monitoring. So in this video we will see what are the types of instrument that we use, what are the steps of instrument processing, what are the different types of autoclave, what are the different type of sterilization procedures, what are the chemical indicators, biological indicators, how to monitor sterilization properly, then what are the CDC guidelines regarding sterilization and sterilization monitoring, then which water we should use in sterilizer. So let's start with these whole topics one by one. So in dental clinic mostly we use autoclavable instrument, that is a reusable or disposable instrument. For example, suppose you are dealing with infectious disease patient like hepatitis or tuberculosis or HIV patients, or in case of COVID positive patients, you have to stress maximum use of disposable instrument so that burden of disinfection or sterilization will get reduced. But that is not possible in every case because there are many instruments like implant drills or other surgical instruments which are not available in disposable format. So instrument processing and instrument sterilization is important. So we have to process our instrument through 6 steps. The first one is, after collection of your instrument from operatory, the first step is cleaning of the instrument. Then again, how to clean them we will see in next steps. Then after cleaning, the most important step is inspecting those instruments for removal of all the debris or the blood on the instrument, otherwise sterilization procedure will not be adequate. Then the packaging of instrument, again this is an important step because this is the one step where maximum sterilization procedure can get failed. Why or how we will see. Then after packaging, how to do sterilization. Then after sterilization, how to store these instruments properly. And lastly, how to monitor our sterilizer or autoclave whether it is working properly or not. Because even if you have sterilized your instrument, psychologically you may think that you have sterilized or you have autoclaved your instrument properly, but if your autoclave is not performing properly, then there is no use of sterilization. So that's why sterilization monitoring is most important steps. So according to protocol, your clinic should have a separate area for sterilization. Again, we have a limitation of space in our dental clinic, that's why this is not possible in many clinics. Those clinics who are maintaining NABH, who are having NABH accredited or maintaining protocol according to NABH standard, those clinics must have a separate zone for a room for the sterilization or separate processing area for sterilization. Again, you have to divide this area into 3 zones. The first one is soil zone, where you will receive all the contaminated instrument and you will perform a cleaning procedure. Then second zone is a clean zone. After cleaning of the instrument, you have to dry it first, then you have to inspect it. Again, after cleaning of the instrument, you have to inspect them, you have to dry them, and then you have to pack in this clean zone. This is a clean zone, but this is not a sterile zone. And the next zone is a sterile zone. So in sterile zone, you have to store all the process instrument properly. Your storage zone should not be below your sink. This is because whatever moisture is present in that area can contaminate this instrument again. So while using this instrument after sterilization, if you have stored your instrument for a long time, you have to make sure that while using this instrument, your package should be properly sealed. If it is not, then you have to reprocess this instrument through all the steps and then you have to sterilize it again. So the first step is cleaning of the instrument. Now after surgical procedures or other non-surgical procedures, when you collect your instrument for cleaning, if your instruments are blood contaminated or you can say soiled, you have to keep them into the disinfectant or at least in the detergent water, so that blood should not get dried out or that blood should get neutralized so that its infectivity will get reduced. Then you have to clean it properly. Now there are 2 methods for cleaning. One is a manual method and another is ultrasonic cleansing. So for manual method, as most of the clinic will use a manual method, for manual method you have to use a long handle brush so that your staff will not get injured. While handling this instrument, make sure that your staff will use utility gloves so that the injury from sharp instrument or blades or needle stick injuries can get reduced. So this is a manual procedure. After this, there is a mechanical procedure. For mechanical cleaning, we have 3 devices. The one is ultrasonic cleaner. The most of the people have this in their clinic. Then the instrument washer, and third is instrument washer or disinfector. So what are the instrument? The first one is ultrasonic cleaner. So ultrasonic cleaner uses a sound waves which forms oscillating bubbles, and after cavitation this bubble acts on debris to remove it from instrument. So according to the manufacturer guideline, there must be a dedicated time required to clean this instrument. For example, 3 to 6 minutes required for loose instrument and 10 to 20 minutes are required for instrument cassettes. So again, few things that you have to take care during cleaning of the instrument in ultrasonic cleaner. Suspend instrument in ultrasonic bath using a rack or basket. Suspend in the unit. Do not lay instrument directly at the bottom of ultrasonic cleaner. This is because it will interfere into the cleaning procedure. Again, avoid overloading of ultrasonic cleaner to avoid that could inhibit its cleaning ability, and routinely change the ultrasonic cleaner solution at least once in a day or more often with heavy uses. Then the next machine which you can use is instrument washer. The instrument washer use high velocity of hot water and detergent to clean your instrument. So most of the hospital use this central processing unit. For dental offices also there are two machines available. The one is a counter top model and another is built in and resemble a kitchen dishwasher. So generally this much heavy machine is not required for a dental clinic. Then the instrument washer and thermal disinfector. The high temperature of water and chemical disinfector that we use in this instrument. So it cleans instrument as well as it disinfect instrument. So that reduces the risk of injuries from the sharp instrument while handling after cleaning procedure for sterilization. So all these appliances are FDA approval and should be purchased from authorized dealers. So the next section, after cleaning of instrument, which instrument should get cold sterilized or disinfection is just enough for those instrument, and which instrument should strictly go for a sterilization. So there is a one classification that is called as a Spaulding classification, which divide instrument according to the need of sterilization or disinfection in a three classes, that is in a three category, that is a critical items, semi-critical items and non-critical items. So critical items are those items which comes in direct contact with the blood, body cavity, sterile tissue or vascular system and not with an intact mucous membrane. For example, surgical instrument. So all these instrument must be go for sterilization. In this category, your dental burrs and your handpieces are also included. Then semi-critical items are those items which makes contact with intact skin or mucous membrane directly. So these instrument can be processed with high level disinfection. And then there is a category of non-critical instrument or appliances. So object that comes in direct contact with intact skin but not with mucous membrane, those can be considered as non-critical items. For example, your stethoscope or BP apparatus. So low level disinfection is enough for processing with these instruments. So according to this classification, we have to choose which sterilization or disinfection procedure is enough for processing of equipment that we use in our day-to-day practice. So next step, after cleaning, you have to inspect your instrument for any debris or blood remain on the instrument, and after that you have to dry your instrument before pack them. This is important because many instrument can get rust because of moisture, or if moisture is present, your sterilization procedure will not be proper. So for the packaging, you can use drum which is available with the pressure cooker type autoclaves. You can use a pouch system again which is available in self-adhesive types, or you have to seal them with the use of machine. And the next thing that we can use is a instrument cassette. So if you are using pouches, we have demonstrated in our video which is on sterilization processing that how to use these sterilization pouches properly. So if you are using self-sealing pouches or even the pouch which you need to seal, you have to make sure that the instrument which is having hinge like your needle holder or your scissors, this instrument should be opened at the joint so that the vapor penetration should reach that area. Otherwise that area will remain away from sterilization, and this is the area where most of the blood get penetrate while procedures. So this is the most important thing, because many times I have seen that people put needle holder directly with a closed hinge. Then again you have to remove whatever air present inside the pocket so that the steam penetration will be proper. So if you are using sealing machine for sealing of these pouches, you have to make sure that your sealing machine should be of medical grade packaging, should be of medical grade. This is because many of us using a simple machine which is a food grade quality, and because of that there may be a micro gap or micro leakage in the packaging. So if you are using that food processing machine for packaging or sealing these packages, you have to seal this packet in a 3 level. So first we have to seal it, then at some distance you have to seal it again, and then again you have to seal it, so that if there are micro gaps or micro leakage in a first sealing, it may get covered by the second or the third. And again there is a dye test which you can do to check whether your sealing machine is performing properly or not. So simple, you have to seal your pouches on one side, and you have to put ink inside that packet and just hang it for some time. So if that ink get penetrated through that sealing, it means your sealing machine is not proper. So to make sure that there will not be any micro leakage, please ensure that your staff is sealing these pouches for in the 3 levels. Then again, one important thing while sealing our instrument in the pouches, we have to take care of overloading while packaging. So keep your instrument separately so that the steam penetration should be proper. Then again, according to the Spaulding classification, I left over one point. Your scalpel, scaler and burrs should be considered as a critical items, and that's why it should be sterilized properly. Then the impression trays and mouth mirror, if not using in surgical procedure, can be considered as a semi-critical items. So coming to the method of sterilization, now we have packed our instrument and we have to keep it in the sterilization. So there are different sterilization methods available, but we will see 2 methods only. One is a cold sterilization and one is a moist heat sterilization, because that is the only 2 procedure we used to follow. So for chemical sterilization, there are different chemicals available, like SEDEC is one of the chemical, or there are many other chemicals available in the market. So you have to look for the manufacturer instruction that for how much time you have to immerse your instrument for sterilization. For example, if you are using SEDEC solution, you need to keep for 10 to 12 hours for sterilization and 30 minutes for disinfection. Again, once you prepare this solution, you have to make sure that how much concentration is recommended by the manufacturer, because I have seen in many places SEDEC solution get diluted, but that dilution was not proper. So once you prepare this solution, you can keep it for 14 days max to max, or if you observe any cloudiness inside that, you have to discard this solution. So for disinfection, if you are using SEDEC solution, keep it for 15 minutes, or even if you are using it for cold sterilization, after removing instrument from the SEDEC solution, you have to clean it with the saline for 3 times, and then you have to dry it properly so that no chemical residue will be there on the instrument, and then you can use it for your procedures. So the next step is sterilization. So there are different types of autoclave available in the market. The one is called as a gravity displacement autoclave. The simple language, it is a pressure cooker type autoclave, and another are the pre-vacuum autoclave. So what are the examples of them and what is the difference between these, we will see in the next section. But before that, I want to ask one question. Is there any difference between sterilizer and autoclave? Because most of the time we use these words interchangingly. So autoclave is one of the sterilizer where moist heat is a sterilant. In the same way, there are many other sterilizer systems available which use plasma or UV radiation or gamma rays, or formalin chambers are there, hydrogen peroxide vapors, dry vapors chambers are there. So these all are the example of sterilant. With the use of different sterilant agent, we can do sterilization of the instruments. So the autoclave is a sterilizer, but autoclave is not only sterilizer available. So first of all, we will see how gravity displacement autoclave works. So in gravity displacement autoclave, the cold air which is present inside the autoclave is escaped through the bottom of chamber as the steam displaces it from above. So the valve should never be obstructed and chamber must not be overfilled in order for this system to function efficiently. So in short, when autoclave gets heated, whatever steam generation occurs, it displaces cold air from the autoclave, and then the steam penetration occurs inside the packed instrument or the instrument kept in the drum. Here we have to keep one thing in our mind, that the steam penetration is important for autoclaving or sterilization and not just a rising temperature of hot water. So that is why proper placement of instrument inside the autoclave is important. If you are going to overload your autoclave, steam penetration will not be proper, and again you will have a psychological benefit that you have sterilized your instrument, but the instrument which are placed in the central area may not get steam penetration properly. So next is pre-vacuum autoclave. So is class N autoclave is pre-vacuum autoclave or is a non-vacuum autoclave? Because many people assume that class N autoclave is a pre-vacuum autoclave and it could be a replacement of class B autoclave. So class B autoclave is a pre-vacuum autoclave and class N autoclave is not a pre-vacuum autoclave. So what is the advantage of pre-vacuum autoclave? As the word mentioned, pre-vacuum, these autoclave having a pre-vacuum generation cycles. So in 2 or 3 pulse vacuum cycles, the whatever cold air is present inside the autoclave get removed, and when steam penetration occurs, it occurs inside the vacuum. So that's why it is the most perfect autoclave, can be considered for sterilization. So if you are using gravity displacement autoclave, the cycle which should be followed is 121 degree centigrade at 15 psi pressure for 15 to 30 minute cycle. Now why this 15 to 30 minute cycle is again important, because most of us have kept this instrument inside the autoclave for 15 minutes only. So if you have loaded your autoclave with many instruments, you have to make sure that your autoclave will run for more than 15 minutes so that steam penetration can occur properly. And after this cycle will get over, means 15 to 30 minutes will get over, you have to switch off your autoclave and you have to wait for 20 to 45 minutes, which is a dry phase. So after the sterilization cycle, the sterilizer must get depressurized, and after that you have to keep your instrument for 20 to 45 minutes as a drying phase, and after that you have to remove them. Otherwise the temperature of hot instrument and the air outside the autoclave, there will be the temperature gap between it. So the cold air present inside the room will condense hot air, and then you will see the droplets of water on the instrument, and again it will get contaminated because of moisture. So what if you need your instrument immediately for your operation or immediately for your procedures? For that you can use a flash sterilization procedure. We will see in the next slides what is a flash sterilization procedure. So if you are using, so we will see in the next section that how to do flash sterilization for if you want to use your instrument in urgency. So if you are using pre-vacuum autoclave, what should be the protocol of sterilization? So in this autoclave you have to use instrument for 132 degree centigrade, 130 to 135 degree centigrade for 3 to 10 minutes at 32 psi pressure. So let's see what is the difference between class N, class S and class B autoclave. So class N autoclave is a non-vacuum autoclave where gravity displacement occur before steam penetration, and class B autoclave, it is a air displacement or pre-vacuum autoclave where steam penetration occur in a vacuum. So this class N, this N stand for naked instruments or naked solid product. So it is a compact, it sterilized simple material. Again the flash sterilization can be done in class N autoclave, that is the advantage of class N autoclave. Then it cannot be used to sterilize textile, porous load, hollow items or even products in pouches, and again the steam penetration cannot be guaranteed. Class B, the B stand for big small sterilizer, because they are a small machines that can be that offer a big performance, because these are the small machines which offer a big performance. So any type of load can be sterilized in class B autoclave, specifically those instruments which have a hollow spaces, and it is a best user friendly. And class S, which is an intermediate class between class N and class B autoclave, and its characteristics are not defined by any standard, only the manufacturer can provide details about it. So if you are looking for best autoclave for your dental clinic, then class B autoclave can be considered as a best option for sterilization. Even if you are using a gravity displacement autoclave, as everyone will not use class B autoclave, you need not to worry about sterilization procedure. Just you have to follow proper standards or proper procedure for processing of instrument and packaging as well as loading of the instrument, and then the sterilization monitoring. So what is a flash sterilization? Now imagine, suppose you are doing some implant procedure and your important instrument fall down on the floor, means it get contaminated and you have to use it again immediately. Now it is not possible for you to do whole sterilization procedure for this particular equipment or for this instrument or the implant drill. In that case you can do flash sterilization. So in flash sterilization you have to keep this instrument for 132 degree centigrade for 3 minutes at 27 to 28 lbs pressure in gravity displacement autoclave, for example class N or pressure cooker type autoclave, and then you can use this instrument immediately. But again, this is not a standard procedure, or this is not a protocol which is suggested for every instrument. This protocol you have to follow only in emergency. This is because the studies have not guaranteed the sterilization of these instruments with flash sterilization procedures, so there may be a chances of infection or cross contamination. So the next section is sterilization monitoring. So before this we have seen that how to clean our instrument, why we should keep them into the disinfectant solution or detergent solution to avoid drying, then how to clean them through manual procedure or mechanical procedure, then how to inspect, then why we should inspect our instrument, why to dry instrument, and then how to seal them. So these are the different types of autoclave which we can use in our day-to-day practice. So now we will see how to keep your instrument for before processing into the autoclave. So while loading this instrument in the autoclave, we have to make sure, if you have placing the drum, the openings present in the drum should be open, because many times we keep them after autoclaving, we realize that it was not open. So again, if you are in hurry, then you will use the same instrument, so that is not recommended thing. So make sure that the holes present in the drums are open. Then if you are using a pouch system for sterilization, make sure your staff is placing the porous portion of that pouches towards a source of steam, so that the steam penetration will be proper. Again, you have to make sure that you should not place a one pouch over the another and so on, because the steam penetration will not happen in other pouches. So make sure all the pouches will get exposed equally to the steam source. So in short, you have to avoid overloading of the instrument inside the autoclave, so that steam penetration will be proper and each and every instrument will get autoclave. Again, if you are keeping fabrics or linen material inside the autoclave for sterilization, make sure the central portion of your linen, like for example your drapes or your gowns, will get exposed to the steam. And for all these things we have to use some indicator. This is because the chemical or biological indicator will indicate whether the steam penetration has occurred up to that area or not. So that is our next section, that is a sterilization monitoring, how we can do sterilization monitoring and why it is important. So there are different types of indicators which we can use for sterilization monitoring. For example, chemical indicators and biological indicators. Now in chemical indicators there are single parameter indicator and multi-parameter indicator. For example, single parameter indicator will judge whether the temperature was adequate, pressure was adequate, or time was adequate. But the multi-parameter indicator will all the three parameters have whether it was appropriate for sterilization procedure or not. So for example, whatever pouch system you use, there is an indicator which changes color after sterilization. So many of us are the opinion that if this indicator have changed the color, it means the sterilization have been done. But this is not a true. This is because this is a class 1 chemical indicator which is present on the pouch that we use for sealing of the equipment. So class 1 indicator, it is a processing indicator which indicate that these instruments have been processed through autoclave. For example, in a big hospitals there are multiple drums for the processing of sterilization. So over that they put a tape, that is a processing tape. It means this drum which is kept into the autoclave should not mix with those drums which have not processed through autoclave. So that is a processing indicator which just indicate that this packaging was inside the autoclave. Means for example, if you put this pouch in a sunlight, even the heat from the sunlight can change the color of this pouch. So that is not a proper indication for sterilization. So please don't consider this class 1 indicator as a indicator for sterilization procedure. So we need to use class 4 chemical indicator for pre-vacuum autoclave or gravity displacement autoclave. So these indicators are easily available in the market, and again this is not a costly affair. So ideal, according to the guideline, we have to put chemical indicator for every procedure. But again, if you are thinking that it is a costly affair, so at least use chemical indicator for alternate procedure into the autoclave. And then there is a gold standard for sterilization monitoring, that is a biological indicator. So biological indicator use spores of highly resistant bacteria, that is a Zoobacillus or Bacillus species, in concentration of 10 to the power 6. So according to CDC guideline, we have to do sterilization monitoring with the help of biological indicator at least weekly. But as it is not possible for every dentist to follow this procedure, as it will be a cost investment, we have introduced sterilization monitoring service with the help of biological indicator on a monthly basis. So that is a yearly package available with the Fumident, and you will get a proper microbiological report with a microbiologist, as well as sterilization monitoring certificate that you can display in your OPD for knowledge of your patient that you have processed this instrument properly, as well as you monitor your autoclave for their safety. So again, it can protect yourself from legal matters. So then if you are using biological indicators or chemical indicators, one important thing is that how to place this indicator inside the autoclave. So as I explained in the previous portion, that if you are using a linen material or if you are placing your gown inside the autoclave, you have to make sure that the steam should penetrate into the central portion or to the portion which is far from the source of steam. So you have to keep chemical indicator or biological indicator in those remote places. One such area is lower front area of the autoclave in case of pre-vacuum autoclave, and again you have to change this location multiple times to evaluate is there any cold spot available inside your autoclave. So that will make sure that which area or which instrument get properly sterile or not. So this is a chemical indicator and biological indicator for sterilization monitoring. Then again, apart from that, you have to monitor mechanical parameter on for every procedure, like what temperature, pressure and time was given for the sterilization protocol, and you have to maintain all these things in your infection control record book. While recording all these parameters inside the record book, you have to make sure you have to mention the operator's name as well along with the date and time in the record book. This is because if some issue occur about sterilization, you should be able to evaluate which person has processed for that particular instrument on that particular day. So what are the next steps if this sport biological indicator or your sport test result get positive? So if mechanical and chemical indicators show that sterilization is adequate, and if your sport test is positive, then you should not be worried. However, the sterilizer should be removed from processing of the instrument, and you should evaluate it with the help of your manufacturer or your service provider whether this autoclave is performing properly or not. And after that, you have to perform a sport test in that autoclave using the same operating parameter or the mechanical parameter. And again, if you get a positive sport test, and after that if the sport test is negative, then your autoclave is working properly, you can utilize it further sterilization procedure. If the repeat sport test is positive, then do not use that autoclave until it has been inspected and repaired or rechanged by until it has been inspected or repaired and rechallenged by biological indicators in 3 consecutive fully loaded chamber sterilization cycles. And again, you have to make sure whatever instrument you have processed before through this autoclave in which the sport test was positive, you have to reprocess those instruments from the storage. And after this sterilization monitoring procedure, whatever reports you will get from the lab, you have to document them for your record. Then again, for how much time this record should get maintained, again for this there is no definite guideline available, but CDC recommended you have to keep this record at least for 3 years. Then what type of information should be there in your sterilization record? So record the type of sterilizer and cycle that we use, then what was the load in that cycle, the operator's name, whatever the mechanical parameters you have followed, whatever the chemical indicators you have put inside for the monitoring, and the result of sterilization monitoring procedures. So if you are using a class B autoclave, that is a pre-vacuum autoclave, there is a one test which is used to check whether the pre-vacuum generation is proper or not. That is called as a Bowie-Dick test. So in this test, there is a one disposable package which is made up of thermochromatic material, which is a temperature sensitive material. So this material is sandwiched between a porous material and a reticulated foam. So you have to keep this ready-made pack inside your pre-vacuum autoclave and you have to process for sterilization cycle. So if your pre-vacuum generation is proper, it means the steam will penetrate up to the whole material or up to the thermochromatic pack. So this thermochromatic material will indicate whether the steam has penetrated properly or not. So if pre-vacuum generation is proper and steam sterilization has occurred everywhere, this thermochromatic material will change from brown to black color, which will indicate the pass result for Bovidic test. And if the color changes are not adequate, it means your Bovidic test is failed. So this is the way how you can monitor your sterilizer, and you can monitor whether the pre-vacuum generation is proper inside the class B autoclave or not. So in the section of sterilization, I want to cover one more topic, that is a glass bead sterilizer or glass bead autoclave. So the question is, are glass bead sterilizer are effective means for sterilization? So in short, the answer is, according to FDA, these sterilizers are neither safe nor effective for the sterilization procedures. So the next section is, what can be the cause of sterilization failure? The first one is improper cleaning of the instrument. As I have told previously, that if any debris or if any blood stain remain on the instrument, it will resist the steam penetration up to the instrument, up to that a particular area. So even specifically for the our student life, we used to keep some indicator on our instrument so that we can properly judge our instrument. If dental students are watching this video, please don't keep any kind of such an indicator on the instrument, otherwise it will hinders the complete sterilization procedures. Then again, improper packaging, which I have told earlier. Improper packaging material used for the packaging of the instrument can hinder for the steam penetration, and if you have overpacked your pouches, again that will hinder the steam penetration procedure. Then improper loading of autoclave with these packages, or overloading of these packages, or if there is a no gap for steam penetration in between the packages, that can lead to sterilization failure. Then improper timing and temperature, then incorrect operation of the sterilizer. These all can be considered as a causes for the sterilization failure. So guys, apart from this, I want to highlight one more point, that if you are using a pressure cooker type autoclave, make sure while this autoclave is on, you should not be there, or your staff should not be there inside that room, because this autoclave can be considered as a live pressure bomb which can get exploded at any time. That can causes injury to your staff or yourself. So make sure while autoclave is on inside the clinic, you should not be present in that chamber. Then again, one important point is which water we should use for inside this autoclave. So if you are using a class B autoclave, these manufacturer have already made such a provision inside the autoclave that you have to use distilled water, otherwise the procedure will not be proper. So many people get confused between a distilled water and RO water. So tap water is not a distilled water, that everyone know, but many people have confusion between the filtered water or the RO water and the distilled water. So distilled water means all the impurities including minerals have been removed from that water, and for medical grade you have to use double distilled water. Means again there are different categories of distilled water, the one which is required for the battery, then other required for some other purpose, but for pharmaceutical purpose, specifically the distilled water which used preparation of drugs for use in medical hospital or dental clinics, that should be of hospital grade. So make sure whenever you either you can prepare this water inside your clinic, and if you are purchasing this from outside vendor, you have to make sure whether this is double distilled and medical grade distilled water or not. So if you are using RO water, it is a water which is processed. So again, whatever water available apart from the distilled water, that is a tap water or your mineralized water or your mineral water or your boiled water, all these water will have a minerals as a and other impurities. So you have to use distilled water in the autoclave so that your auto will function properly. So RO water versus distilled water. So there is a difference between a filtered water and distilled water. So reverse osmosis is a hyperfiltration procedure, and it does remove as many contaminant as possible, but it does not filter those ions with no charge, such as organics. So a distillation procedure removes sodium ions as well as other common minerals better than the RO water, and that's why you should use a distilled water inside a class B autoclave or other autoclaves. Then again, in many CD program, many people ask one common question, are worried about this section, that how to process our handpieces in between a patient. So the simple guideline according to the CDC or FDA, you have to use FDA registered handpieces with manufacturer guideline for sterilization procedure, because it is a mandatory for manufacturer to recommend a proper sterilization procedure if their product is FDA approved. That is a pre-marketing rule by FDA. As all the instrument we use for the medical device, whether they are class 1 or class 1 device, the manufacturer has to clear the pre-market assurance. So ideally we have to autoclave our handpieces between each patient. But again, even if you are using 3-4 handpieces, it is not possible for everyone to autoclave handpieces in between two patients. This is because some people have many appointments in a day. So some studies have recommended that you can disinfect, but if you are involving or if you are using this instrument on a medically compromised patient or some highly infectious disease patient, then this instrument must be go for sterilization before operating on the next patient. So this is all about sterilization and sterilization monitoring. This is the most important topic, as whatever instrument we use in our patient's oral cavity, they directly comes in contact with the blood of a patient, and the same instrument can causes injury to the staff and dentist. So processing of them properly and carefully is must. So with this I am concluding the sterilization and sterilization monitoring topic. So what is the action plan for dentist? If you are working on infectious patients like HIV, HBV, tuberculosis, corona positive, you have to use maximum disposable instrument, and if you use a reusable instrument in this patient, you have to keep this instrument into the proper disinfectant for or into the chlorine solution for some time, so that the infectivity of the blood will get neutralized to some extent. Then you can do proper cleaning of the instrument. Again, while cleaning this instrument, your staff should use utility gloves so that the needle stick or sharp injuries can get reduced. Then again, after cleaning of the instrument, you have to inspect them, you have to dry them, you have to pack them properly, you have to keep them properly inside the autoclave, and you have to follow the proper autoclavic procedures. And please ensure that your autoclaves are working properly with the help of biological or chemical indicators. This is because I am sure around 80 to 90% people have never used these indicators or never heard about them. So please, if you are agree with me that why we use these chemical indicators or biological indicator, try to use them at least once to ensure whether your autoclave is working properly or not, because we are using the same autoclave from year after year. So with this I am concluding this topic, and the next topic is again the most hot topic in nowadays, that is a PPE. There are many confusion among the dentists that which PPE we should use, which one is proper, whether we use disposable or whether we can use reusable. Many of them even don't know whether the PPE can be a reusable or not. So why this question arises now? This is because of corona, but I am again saying the same thing. Before corona also there were many viruses and bacteria present, and for that we have to use personal protective equipment. And even after this scenario will get over, you have to use PPE for your protection than your patient safety. So guys, thank you, and we will meet into the next training video, that is on the personal protective equipment. Thank you.